Okay, hello. Today we're going to go over two learning objectives. The first one is given the equation of a sine and cosine function, determine the amplitude, phase shift, period, and vertical shift of the function, as well as sketch one complete cycle, and list the points where the function reaches its maximum, minimum, and average value within one complete cycle. And the second learning objective will be given the graph of a sine or cosine function, determine the amplitude, phase shift, period, and vertical shift of the function, and use this to write the equation of the function. So let's first go over the basics. At the top where it says f of x, this is the transformation function. A, sine or cosine. B times x minus c plus d, where A is the amplitude, B is a period, C is the horizontal / phase shift, and D is the vertical displacement. The amplitude is the height from midline to peak. The period is from peak to peak. The horizontal or phase shift is left and right movement, and then vertical is up and down. Then if you look to the right, you can see the parent functions for the sine and cosine, and you can see the positive and the negative version of each. You can see that the cosine is the shifted version of the sine, because where pi over 2 comma 1 is, that correlates with 0 comma 1 over here for our cosine. And now we have enough information to go ahead and get started. So Okay, so now I'm going to go over our second objective, which is creating a function from this graph. And I want to start by determining which type of function it is. So if you go up, we can see that it is a negative sign function because it starts from the bottom and goes up and comes right back down in that S shape. Okay, and now I want to determine our maximum. And our maximum is at y equals 1. Our minimum is at y equals -5. And our midline is at y equals -2. And if you don't know how to find the midline, you can do the equation 1 plus -5 divided by 2, which is 4 divided by 2, -4 divided by 2, which equals -2. So we know our midline is at -2. And then to find our amplitude, you just do what is 1 to -2, and that's -3. So basically between here and here is 3 units, and between here and here is 3 units. Then our B, we know our period is 1 full cycle. So our period is 4 pi, but in order to find B, we have to work backwards from that equation from earlier, 2 pi over B. So you'd bring the B over here, and then you would divide 2 pi by 4 pi, which equals 1/2. So our B is 1/2. There is no horizontal shift, and the vertical shift is -2. And we know this is because our midline is at -2, and it's shifted 2 down from our normal midline, which is at 0. Now with this information, we can go ahead and write the equation, and our equation is -3 sine 1/2 pi 1/2 x minus 2. And then that's how we solve our first equation. Now our second, we're going to look at this. We're going to figure out what type of equation it is first. And we can see that it's a cosine function. What type of cosine function is a negative cosine function? Because it goes up and down. So we're going to determine our maximum. Our maximum is at y equals 5. Our minimum is at y equals -1. And our midline is at y. Well, there is no midline for a cosine function. That's not something you have to worry about. So our amplitude is from the bottom, our minimum, to our maximum. So from -1 to 5, that is -1 to 5, that is 6 units. There is no shift because we are still starting at 0, going to 4, but we do know our period is 4 because that's one complete cycle right here. So we're going to reverse, remember, do that equation, 2 pi over b equals 4, so 4b, so we're dividing 2 pi by b again, or by 4, and that equals pi halves my bad, pi halves. There is no shift. And then our vertical shift is -1 because that's where our new bottom line is. So we are going to make our equation, which is -6 cosine pi over 2x minus 1. And that's how you write an equation from the graph given.